Hi, I'm Graham Knight. I'm here at Medical Fitness Pros. Today I want to talk about lower back pain, your core, and how it relates to your golf and your golf swing. When I have clients come in, my golf clients, and we start discussing playing the game, they always end up telling me that their lower back is hurting at the end of a round of golf. A lot of times I'll see when I just ask them to get into their golf posture, and I just have them get into their stance, more times than not, I'm going to see either a curve in their upper back like this, I refer to a C posture, or I'll have them stand and they'll get a big curve arch right in their lower back. That's an S posture. So when I have my golf clients go through these different movements, if I find that someone doesn't have good pelvic tilt, they're putting a lot of stress on their lumbar and their lower back. And when you don't have good core stability, you're putting a lot of stress on that lower back, and in turn that's why people end up having this lower back pain. So today I'm going to go through a few exercises, simple exercises, just to show people just an easy way to make sure that you do have, one, proper muscle control, and two, to start improving your core strength. And when I mean today core strength, I'm primarily going to be talking about your glutes, because more often than not I will find someone with weak glutes. And in these movements, I'm going to show you just easy way to test yourself and easy little movements to see if you do have weak glutes. Because if you have weak glutes and you're trying to do other types of workouts and exercises, again, one, you're putting a lot of stress on your lower back. Two, you can end up injuring yourself. And for these people that do go out to the golf course and before they're even playing around, they're popping a few ibuprofen, obviously there's probably a reason, and we need to look at this and fix this before you start doing it, before you injure yourself. The next thing you know, you're not even able to play golf. Okay, so first off, this is Jason Hodge, one of my co-workers, and the first exercise I'm going to have him do, they call it a deer in headlights. Not really sure why they call it a deer in headlights, but that's what it's called. So first I'm going to have him lay on his back with his knees bent. And at this point, all I'm going to ask him to do is cup his hands around his glutes. And all I want to have him do is squeeze his glutes. But the one thing, I want to have him squeeze them independently. So I'm trying to get to see if he can feel his glutes squeezing independently. So at this point, for example, I'm going to ask him to squeeze his left glute. And if he were to tell me, by squeezing his left glute, he's also feeling his right glute, that's not a concern. More times than not, when someone's first doing something like this, they're going to feel activation in more than one muscle. That's fine. It's just going to take time till you can independently flex those muscles. Also, in a case like this, a lot of times when I have someone squeeze their glutes, they're going to feel their hamstring activate. Again, normal at the beginning, but this is something preferably over time, we want to get that glute to do the primary flexion. Now, in that case, let's say I ask someone and they're getting 50% glute activation, 50% hamstring activation. Again, that's about the limit I would want them to be as far as the glute activation, as the lower limit. What I would like to see more is 70% glute activation and 30% hamstring. And once someone feels like they're getting into that and they feel like they can independently activate those glutes and not feel majority of the hamstring, then that's when you are starting to get the proper stability you were looking for and the strength and control in those glutes. The other thing you want to watch for is if you can't do a simple thing like this and you can't independently activate your glutes when you're doing something, when you're squeezing one back and forth, just doing something like this, then I by no means would I have you doing squats, lunges, and etc. as far as things like that. You're not ready for something. That's when you can end up injuring yourself. This is the basics of making sure your core is stable and you're able to do things like that. Because the last thing we're trying to do is end up hurting you where you can't play golf at all. So again, deer in headlights, simple as squeezing the glutes back and forth. This is also something you could do driving in your car, sitting at the desk at work. The idea is to learn that proper muscle control and to be able to control those muscles independently and again, to get the proper muscle firing at the right time. So next, I'm gonna show another exercise. This is what I like to call the 3-position bridge. Now, I'm gonna start, which Jason is in already the right position to start this in. So what I would have someone do, and I'm gonna have him do, is first, I'm gonna have him arch his back off of the mat. Next, I'm gonna ask him to flatten his back against, and at this point, the glute should be squeezing, and then I'm gonna have him come up into a bridge. And at this point, I'd have him sit here for a few seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, and then he can let down. And when someone's doing a bridge like this, I'm gonna ask if they feel their glutes activating, or do they feel their hamstrings activating. Again, this is the same thing. The minimum I want on those glutes is a 50-50, but ideally I want 70% of that glute firing and only 30% of the hamstring. So if someone's doing well on this, the next step I'm gonna have someone take, for example, I'm gonna have Jason do the same thing, arch his back, flatten his back, and go into the bridge. At this point, I wanna say, now I would like to have you straighten your left leg. Again, we're gonna go 3 to 5 second hold here. And once he does this, if for example he was doing this, and you can let down so you don't have to hold that too long, and he was coming up, and a lot of times I'll feel their hamstring to see if I can feel how tight that hamstring is and if it's firing too much. The other thing I want someone to, if someone's gonna try this after seeing this here, if you go into this position and you go into a bridge and you straighten one leg out, and as soon as that this hamstring cramps, stop. That is a sure sign that that hamstring is firing more than that glute. And that is something we do not want happening. Plus, I don't want someone rolling off the table because they're cramping up so bad. So the second you feel like that hamstring is gonna cramp, relax, let off, back it up, and just go to the basic bridge of just bridging up without sticking the leg out at this point. At this time, this is where as far as I'd want you to go. We do this for a while, work on this, feel like those glutes are doing most of the work, not the hamstring. And once you feel comfortable at this point, then we would go, again, sticking one leg out at a time, 3 to 5 seconds, bring it back in, then you would drop down, come back up, stick out the opposite leg, and just go through a set. Just right now, I would have someone do a set of 10. See how it feels by the end? Over time, the more you do this, the more you should get your hamstrings out of it and your glutes doing most of the work. Again, 50-50 is the minimum I would want on that glute activation. But we're working to get more of a 70-30% as far as the glutes being the 70, the hamstrings being the 30%. So once you feel confident in doing these 2 exercises and you feel like your glutes are doing most of the work, that is when I would say it is okay to start getting into some other leg and core work, i.e. lunges and squats. But again, if these 2 exercises are something you don't feel confident that you're doing and your glutes are activating, then I would not jump to any of those other exercises. So in conclusion, talking about core and stability, again, most of our preferences have been on the glutes and how most people don't even realize the glutes are part of the core. But if you have weak glutes and your glutes are not strong and they're not firing properly, and that means your lower back is getting into a lot of the movements and putting a lot of stress on your lower back. Again, at the end of a round of golf, lower back hurts real bad. If you continue to do things like this and you don't have proper muscle control and proper stability, i.e. your core, you are going to end up stressing your back, straining your back, and you won't be playing golf at all. I'm more than confident of working with these 2 exercises, and you get through these 2 exercises and you master these 2 exercises, you're going to find that you have better core, better stability, and in return, you're going to improve your golf game. Thank you for taking the time to listen and watch this video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Once again, I'm Graham Knight, Medical Fitness Pros. You can look up our website, medicalfitnesspros.com, or give us a call, 281-500-6055.